Book summary with chapter-wise notes of Martina Navratilova. My Life by Martina Navratilova and George Vecsey. Introduction. Martina Navratilova introduces her autobiography by talking about her childhood in Czechoslovakia and her early years in tennis. She also discusses her decision to defect to the United States in 1975. Chapter 1. The Early Years. Navratilova describes her childhood in the village of Revnice, Czechoslovakia. She talks about her close relationship with her family and her early love of tennis. Chapter 2. The Rise to the Top. Navratilova discusses her rise to the top of the tennis world in the 1970s. She talks about her early success on the professional circuit and her rivalry with Chris Evert. Chapter 3. The Defection. Navratilova describes her decision to defect to the United States in 1975. She talks about the reasons for her defection and the challenges she faced settling in a new country. Chapter 4. The American Dream. Navratilova discusses her success in the United States in the late 1970s and early 1980s. She talks about her winning streak at Wimbledon and her rivalry with Tracy Austin. Chapter 5. Coming Out. Navratilova talks about her decision to come out as a lesbian in 1981. She discusses the challenges she faced coming out in a homophobic society. Chapter 6. The Comeback. Navratilova describes her comeback in the late 1980s. She talks about her decision to team up with Pam Shriver in doubles and her winning streak at Grand Slams. Chapter 7. The Final Years. Navratilova discusses her final years on the professional circuit. She talks about her retirement in 1994 and her legacy as one of the greatest tennis players of all time. Chapter 8. Life after tennis. Navratilova talks about her life after tennis. She discusses her work as a commentator and analyst, as well as her advocacy for LGBTQ rights. Conclusion. Navratilova concludes her autobiography by reflecting on her life and career. She talks about the lessons she has learned and the advice she would give to young athletes. Chapter-wise notes. Chapter 1. The Early Years. Navratilova was born in Prague, Czechoslovakia, in 1956. She began playing tennis at the age of 5. Her early coaches were Mirek Kozela and George Parma. She turned professional in 1972. Chapter 2. The Rise to the Top. Navratilova won her first Grand Slam title at Wimbledon in 1978. She went on to win 18 Grand Slam singles titles, including 9 at Wimbledon. She also won 59 Grand Slam doubles titles and 11 Grand Slam mixed doubles titles. She is one of the most successful tennis players of all time. Chapter 3. The Defection. Navratilova defected to the United States in 1975. She was granted political asylum in the United States. She became a U.S. citizen in 1981. Chapter 4. The American Dream. Navratilova won her first Grand Slam title as a U.S. citizen at Wimbledon in 1982. She went on to win 6 more Grand Slam singles titles in the United States. She also won 20 Grand Slam doubles titles and 5 Grand Slam mixed doubles titles in the United States. Chapter 5. Coming Out. Navratilova came out as a lesbian in 1981. She was one of the first professional athletes to come out publicly. She faced some challenges coming out, but she was also supported by many fans and fellow athletes. Chapter 6. The Comeback. Navratilova made a comeback to tennis in the late 1980s. She teamed up with Pam Shriver in doubles and won 20 Grand Slam titles together. She also won her last Grand Slam singles title at Wimbledon in 1990. Chapter 7. The Final Years. Navratilova retired from professional tennis in 1994. She is one of the oldest players to ever win a Grand Slam title. She has a career record of 1,442 wins and 218 losses. Chapter 8. Life after tennis. Navratilova has worked as a commentator and analyst since her retirement. She is also an advocate for LGBTQ rights. She has received numerous awards for her work.